What's up YouTube, this is Collect Pokemon and welcome back to another video. Yeah, these whiteboards are really useful. You simply pretty much just get some command hooks on the wall and basically it is good to display Pokemon cards such as these one with a magnet at the back. Later on, I've heard many of you comment from my collecting videos. I'll teach you guys how to make these. These are really easy, it's really cheap. You don't have to spend money on buying those case, magnetic case or whatever. Yeah, I tried to make this into, you know, some sort of a product, but you know what? It's much easier for you guys to actually do it at home. I'll give a tutorial as to how to do it later on. But these boards are quite cheap. You can actually buy it from IKEA and basically they're quite useful because today we're going to use it as a whiteboard and to illustrate the topics that I want to explore today, which is the fall of Evolving Skies. You know, there has been a lot of video talking about Evolving Skies again. Many of you guys are talking about the booster box and how the price of the booster box is crashing, how it is manipulated on TCG Player. There's multiple videos that I've watched talking about those weird $500 sales point and so on. If you look at the eBay price, yes, we did see a little dip in the Evolving Skies booster boxes. And even for me, you know, I was actually auctioning off, selling off a lot of some of my Evolving Skies booster boxes, and I've stopped these 2 months because I know and I saw that the price was going to come down and there was no point in selling it. But in today's video, I want to talk about how this drop is actually quite normal and how everything in the Pokemon card market right now, it's very normal. There's nothing out of the ordinary that isn't expected, isn't predicted, yeah. So I've made videos saying that the next 3 to 6 months from a month or so ago that things are going to go very slow. We're going to see dips and so on, and it's to a point where it is very predictable now, and I'm going to tell you how I'm able to predict this. Hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell, and support me on my membership program if you're new to this channel. Alright, so yeah, booster boxes or Pokemon products. And remember, everything I talk about in this video, I'm not telling you guys to go invest. I'm not telling you guys to sell anything. It is just my personal observation and my opinion. And it is very specific to the Pokemon card, especially sealed products of Pokemon cards and the nature of certain aspect of Pokemon. So we always hear the idea of organic growth. Now, what exactly does organic growth mean? Organic growth simply means that things are growing naturally. It's growing due to the nature of supply and demand, and you know, there are no bad actors, there's no people trying to manipulate the market, and we're not seeing rapid swings, and you know, those are usually what we consider to be organic growth. So when a product is released, what we often see is that the price stays the same for a bit. Usually you might get a bit of a spike just pre-release, but at release we're going to see a flat line. And after a while, once these products sells out and people know that there is value in this, the price of these products often go up. And once it go up, it would stagnate again at a specific point. And then it would dip a little, stagnate. It'll go up again, stagnate, dip a little, stagnate, up, stagnate. So this is the general trend of a organic growth graph. You know, what we're going to see here, you know, it is price on here on this side and we have time at the bottom. And we are often seeing this, you know, when a booster box is released, it is always around that $100 price range. And then it usually go up to about $140, $150, stagnate there for a couple of years, drop back down to $120, $130, and then go back up to $200, $300, stagnate there for around a bit, drop a little, maybe $180, $190, stagnate there and go up again. That is the general trend of something with organic growth, especially in the Pokemon sealed card market. I've seen this time after time. You know, name your set. I mean, celebrations, actually not celebration, generations, Steam Siege, you know, everything, you know, we see are very similar to these patterns if they experience organic growth. Now, what isn't really organic growth is when cards are released way above MSRP and then, you know, it gets a little weird. It will never, the stagnate period is much longer in those cases. But Evolving Skies is a very typical organic growth set, and this is what will happen. And for every single set, this curve changes in terms of the time of stagnation Some of these stagnation can be a year, 2 year, 5 year, and the degree in which it increases and decreases each time could be different. It ranges from around 20% to 200 to 300%. So it can exist, but those are still considered as organic growth. So these are the patterns that we see. And I think that, just pinpointing it, what happened was that we have a spike for Evolving Skies going up to around that $700 mark. And then it dipped, I expected it would dip back down to around that 680, 650 marks, and then it would hover there for another, God knows, maybe a year or so before it head up to around that $800 price range. And this is completely normal. And in this video, I want to explore more as the reason why organic growth products follow curves such as this one. Now, think of it this way. When do people buy cards? Right? So people might buy some card when it is released at $100, and then it goes up, and then some people might buy in these price of range. Maybe we're looking at like $250. The peak was around $300, and then it stagnated at $280, and so on. And then it goes up again. Maybe let's just say it goes up to $700 for Evolving Skies, and then it dipped a little back to $650. Now here's the thing. If you bought the Evolving Skies at $100, are you gonna sell it at $700? Yeah, I would. In a heartbeat, I would sell it, right? You're like, oh man, I've made like 7 times the money. Of course I'm gonna sell it. But what if you're the person that bought it at $250? Are you gonna sell it at $700? Yeah, most likely you would. What about if you're someone who bought it at $300? Yeah, still double the money, you would. But what about these guys here? Maybe they bought it at $400, $600, $680. Would you sell it at $700? Not really. So that's one thing. And here's the thing. It dropped back down to $650. Do you think these guys are gonna sell at $650 if they didn't sell at $700? No, they wouldn't. But who would sell at $650? The people who bought it at $100 and $250. They would be like, I made $400, 2 times, 3 times, 6 times the money. Why wouldn't I? So we're gonna see a lot of the products that are being sold on the market are going to be things that have been bought at around $100 to $250 price range. I'm using Evolving Skies as an example. And because of that, these price ranges will flush out. All the people who bought it at these prices, they would be selling it. They would have flushed it out at around $650. Happy. But those people who bought it at $400, $600, not so much. And once that all these are flushed out, no one is willing to sell it for $650 anymore, the market will continue to go up to maybe $800. And when it gets to $800, these guys who bought it at $400 and $600 are like, hey, I doubled my money, I'm gonna sell it. And that's why we see the price floor of a lot of these organically grown set to keep rising in price. You just have to wait until the right time for the people who bought it at a cheap price to sell out all their products. And the next batch of products would have gone up in price because those people have bought from these people at a much higher price. And yeah, you're gonna say, hey, like Pokemon, how long do I have to wait? Well, that really depends. That depends on the demand of the set. With a set like Evolving Skies, the demand is still very high, and that's why we see the stagnation period is much shorter than sets like Evolution. Evolution jumped to $600-700 a booster boxes, and it's still $600 to $700 a booster box for the past 4 years. And I think that's the thing. It really depends on the demand of products. Now, here's the thing. From what I've seen is that the demand of products for older products have been actually decreasing, and it's hard to tell what is going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years. But I think Evolving Skies, this set is safe because there are so many chase cards. There's a lot of kids that grew up with Evolving Skies or knowing about Evolving Skies, so when they have the money, they would definitely buy in. They would think that the value is there. And so that is what we're going to see, and that is the explanation as to why we're seeing a dip in Evolving Skies. It's not a crash, it's just a regular adjustment kind of thing. And the supply is there, even though it is $650, even though it's dipping, people are still selling it because those people who bought it at $100-$200, they're willing to sell it for the profit. All right, so here's the thing. What about things that are not organically growing? Because, you know, collect Pokemon. You were saying that, you know, Pokemon is doing really well. What about the waifu card? You know, weren't you there for the waifu cards? You know, what happened to that? You know, it never recovered. You know, why this doesn't exist? Because that wasn't organic. You know, what happened to the waifu card was more of a up, dip, up, dip, up. It was a much shorter period of time. The price went up, doubled every 2 weeks or so. So it was really, really crazy. And you know, that is an example of non-organic growth. Another type of non-organic growth is these straight up, straight down kind of graph. If you do see these type of graph or these type of things, you know, those are usually not stable. For organic growth to exist, or for organic growth to, like, for what I see of organic growth, I need to see some sort of stagnation period. If the cards are not stagnating, if the product has no stagnation period, it is usually manipulated, or it is usually because of buyouts, spikes, fads, whatever you like to call it. You know, people, you know, do that, and that's the thing that I watch, and that's the thing I look for when I'm investing in Pokemon cards. I look for stagnation period, and when products are stagnating or at the beginning of the stagnation period, sometimes I don't mind selling them because I've gained profit and I don't want to wait another 2 or 3 years before another spike. So that is usually sometimes what happens. So for example, for me, I've sold a lot of Evolving Skies, like 4 to 5 Evolving Skies booster boxes during April and May, because I saw that the stagnation was around that $700 price range. And so I sold it, and I know that if I need to wait for the next stagnation, which is around that 800, 900 mark, it's going to take a while. It's going to take at least 1 to 2 or 2 to 3 years before that. And I don't want to hold on to the profit I've already made, which was 7 times already, right? So that's that. Now you can search up other things, not to steal products. Things such as the Scream Munch card. We're seeing that, you know, sitting around that $2,100 for PSA 10. It's been sitting there for a while. It's been sitting there for at least a year and a half already. So what I would expect is another year and a half, it will sit there, and then it'll start going up in price again. So because I've already held on to those cards for this 1.5 years, I'm unlikely going to sell it because I know by waiting for another year and a half or so, it'll go up, right? But if you're at the beginning of that wait, yeah, you might actually want to sell it off so that you can reinvest those money in other products. And yeah, that's my take. And so you don't have to really worry about a lot of the current card market, what exactly is happening to the sealed booster boxes. And these are products that I'm talking about without reprints. Reprint does get things a little bit more complicated, but things such as Evolving Skies, Fusion Strike, Chilling Reign, Lost Origin, we will see this little bit, that little dip, and then it will stagnate there, and no YouTuber will be talking about it because, you know, there's no movement about it. But I just want to tell you guys that having no movement is actually quite normal. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and hope you guys know, you know, to actually look for the stagnation. I think that's quite interesting. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace. This is Collect Pokemon. Bye bye.